Ayan, nakikita? Uy.
Yes po, Doc.
Okay, so actually this topic is very important since you're going to become clinicians if you pass this subject and all of your subjects this semester. It's very important that we discuss this topic, not only the diagnosis part, but also the, what do you call this, the uh, treatment planning part. So, ay medyo sumagot-sagot kayo kasi nandito ako sa may function room ng clinic. Medyo it feels like wala akong kausap. So, please answer kapag nag-ask ako. Kahit ano lang, yes po, ganon. Okay? So, let's begin with the periodontal management and the treatment planning. So, I want you to remember that the ultimate goal of periodontal management and periodontal treatment is to save the teeth and the dentition. So much like any other treatment that we know in dentistry, kung kunyari sa endo yan, endo and perio have the same goal. It's always to save the dentition. Sa restoration, sa operative dentistry, ganun din. It's always to save the dentition and to save the tooth structure. Sa prosthodontic management, of course, we always replace what is missing. And sa tooth extraction, though, we take out the tooth because of its focus of infection of already. So kapag focus of infection na siya, we remove it. However, we have to discuss first the tooth prognosis factor by Orishko. So I believe I already taught you with the McGuire and Nunn classification. Tama ba? Uy. Tama? We already discussed the McGuire and Nunn classification or classification. McGuire and Nunn prognosis sa laboratory. So actually sa yung McGuire and Nunn prognosis, inaaral talaga yun sa laboratory kasi part siya ng form. So after determining of after interpreting the radiograph, um, you have to evaluate naman the tooth prognosis. However, as I've told you in the laboratory, the radiograph is only an adjunct diagnostic tool to determine the prognosis. So hindi lang doon nagbabase ng prognosis, hindi lang sa radiograph. Naiintindihan? Pati yung mga clinical and diagnostic test, kailangan mong gawin yun to determine the, what do you call this? To determine the prognosis. Nagigets ako?
Yes po, Doc.
So, sorry. So I believe sa mga na-discuss ko na, especially sa laboratory na handle ko, yung McQuarrie and Hunt classification, we have good, fair, poor, questionable, and hopeless prognosis. Sa Orishko, it's somewhat very simplified. So you have secure, doubtful, and irrational to treat. Of course, if the tooth is already considered irrational to treat, we have to take it out of the dentition. So, kapag secure, ibig sabihin nito, the tooth, the treatment that we're going to do on the tooth has only a direct approach. So, ito yung mga halimbawa, mga direct restorations, yung mga ganon na treatment, kapag walang magiging alternative treatment or the treatment options or the treatment plan hindi magsasanga-sanga, hindi mag-branch out, wala ka magiging alternative treatment options, the prognosis will be better. So, doon tayo sa secure. So, again, if the treatment plan on the tooth, on a specific tooth, has a direct approach, then secure yung prognosis niya. However, as the treatment plan of the tooth becomes more complicated, the prognosis becomes much lower. And if what do you call this? If you are unsure of the ultimate outcome, and if the treatment plan becomes less predictable, then it becomes now considered as irrational to treat. So ganun tayo ha. We want the treatment plan to be as predictable as possible. If the treatment plan or your plan on the tooth itself becomes less predictable, the prognosis would become lower. Naiintindihan ako? Hello? So kung makikita mo dito sa irrational to treat, meron ka ng endoperioral lesion. So I guess, um, siguro some of you have encountered the term endoperioral lesion. Some of you are familiar, pero ito, very advanced diagnosis na siya. So, as you know, endo and perio, they work close together in terms of diagnosis and in treatment. But sometimes, a specific tooth has two lesions from the perio and the endo. So, kapag naging endo-perio lesion na siya, it's very hard for us to treat the tooth na. It doesn't necessarily mean that the tooth is irrational to treat, but the prognosis would become lower. Not all endoperioral lesions are irrational to treat. Kasi kunyari dito sa doubtful, may endoperioral lesion ka din. But then, sometimes yung mga iatrogenic factor, yung mga perforations, ito root perforations, especially sa coronal and middle third, nagiging irrational to treat na siya. So it's better if we take out the tooth kapag ka ganon. You have to look at the bigger picture before you focus on the tooth. Naiintindihan ba ako? Hello? When you think of the treatment plan, look at a bigger picture muna. That's why, di ba, when we had our activity and prognosis, you need to determine the overall prognosis first before you identify the individual to prognosis. Now, the overall prognosis in McGuire and Dunn classification, they are dictated by the overall clinical factors, local factors, systemic factors, even the age of the patient, and the environmental factors. Doon mo siya titignan. Titignan mo yung overall clinical factors before you decide on the specific tooth prognosis. Nagigets ba ako? Any questions? Ano yan? Ah, ba? Ilang ba estudyante ko? 250? Ilan ba ang ano? Paano yun? Well, I don't know. May nagre-record naman siguro. May nagre-record pa ng meeting. Oo. Okay lang naman if you want. Kasi wala full na eh. Okay. Okay. But with regards to the, what do you call this? With regards to the topic, meron bang tanong? Wali? Uy. Wala na? Okay. So, dito sa itlal prognosis to, so wag muna kayo siya. So, as you can see here, we have the phases of the treatment, pero you don't need to really, what do you call this? You need to really memorize the diagram, but I want you just to understand the diagram. So as you can see, we have four phases of the treatment based on the diagram. So based on the diagram, we have the first, second, third phase, and fourth phase. And as you can see here on the arrow here, we have the severity of periodontitis or the periodontal condition. So as you can see, as the periodontitis becomes more severe, the more phases of the treatment that you have to cross. Now, if the periodontitis or the periodontal condition is quite manageable, you don't need to do a lot of things. Kasi sometimes yung mga ibang practitioners, they tend to overdo it. Now, once you overdo it, sometimes, of course, it will be costly on the side of the patient. Second, there are some cases wherein it's more detrimental on the whole dentition than it normally is. So kailangan we have to think, of course, on the patient side, kailangan niya ba ditong treatment na to or hindi? Depende yan, of course, sa pasyente. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the timeline that we need to take. And as you can see on the active periodontal phase of treatment, so this is the, what do you call this? The active periodontal treatment part. So you have the periodontal evaluation, followed by the non-surgical periodontal therapy and caries control. And then you have to reevaluate. Why do we need to reevaluate? Anyone? So we already did periodontal evaluation. So the periodontal evaluation that we're talking about here refers to the diagnosis part. You need to evaluate the periodontal condition of the patient so that you can properly diagnose the patient. So after diagnosis, we need to treat the patient. So pag na-treat mo na siya non-surgically, you will re-evaluate. Now, bakit kailangan natin ng re-evaluation? Kung nag-evaluate na tayo the first time, bakit kailangan mo pa siyang i-re-evaluate? Yes, kung sino ka man.
Doc, try lang po. Pero para po ma-update yung parang evaluation po natin ng periodontal status niya po.
Ah?
Para po
Sino ka?
parungaw po, Doc.
Ano meron parungaw?
Ano po yung periodontal re-evaluation po para po
Hmm.
ma-update ma-update po sa atin yung status ng yung periodontal status ng patient and mas maging in tune po yung treatment na ibibigay po natin sa kanya.
Okay. So tama naman yun. No? So we need to reevaluate because of two factors or two things. Number one, we want to check the progress of our treatment. Is the non-surgical periodontal therapy enough for the case? Or do we need to make another treatment plan? Make a more, what do you call this? More surgical treatment plan or a surgical approach? Another thing is we want to know if the patient is complying with our instructions. Now, dito may caries control tayo. Bakit kaya tayo may caries control? As part of the non-surgical periodontal therapy. Uy. Anyone? Bakit kaya meron tayong caries control dito? Anong kinaibahan nito sa restorative dentistry na nandito? Bakit siya magkahiwalay? Anyone? Wala? Sirit na? Wala? Wala? Hello? O, sirit na. So, okay. So, before I discuss that, dito ba na tayo? So, again, ito ang sequence of our treatment. So, we have the preliminary, the emergency, systemic, and the periodontal evaluation. On older books, ang tawag natin dyan, preliminary phase or phase 0. In the 2017 Carranza, periodontal evaluation na siya. Sa Linde, systemic phase siya. And sa Carranza and sa Linde, emergency phase din. Now, dito sa area na to, dito sa phase 0, lagay nga natin dito. Phase 0. Dito sa phase 0, we want to address the patient's immediate chief complaint. So the immediate chief complaint of the patient is of the utmost importance, especially if it is considered an emergency. Now, if it is considered an emergency, it means to say that patient cannot function, patient cannot sleep, cannot eat because of pain. So we need to address it first. Now, sa systemic phase naman, if patient has a systemic disease, we want it to to be addressed first before tayo mag-start ng periodontal management. Now here, once we have decided or once we're done with the periodontal evaluation and we have decided the diagnosis, we determined already the diagnosis, we need now to do the non-surgical periodontal therapy or the etiologic phase. And I want you to remember that phase 1 or the non-surgical phase is considered to be the gold standard of periodontal therapy. Now, the reason why it is a gold standard of the periodontal therapy kasi it can treat mild, moderate, and severe cases of periodontitis. It is less invasive than your surgical periodontal therapy and um, least costly in compared to surgical periodontal therapy. So, non-surgical, dapat hindi tayo nagsiskip ng non-surgical periodontal therapy. We always do this first. Yung meron kasi mga iba na they skip phase 1 and proceed with phase 2. But that is not proper. And I want you to remember that phase 1 is also known as etiologic phase. So you want to address the etiology of periodontal disease, which is mainly biofilm. So you want to remove it. So kasama dito, sa phase 1 therapy mo, yung scaling and root planing and supragingival scaling, which we will do in the laboratory sa finals, sa final exam. And of course, yung caries control and removal of teeth that are focus of infections. Naiintindihan ba ako? Hello? Hello? Nagigets?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. So here, we need to evaluate the patient. So we need to evaluate the patient whether the non-surgical periodontal therapy is enough or kailangan natin ng more drastic treatment. Kailangan natin ng more invasive treatment to treat the pocket. Doon lang tayo magsa-surgical. So only when the phase 1 therapy failed, doon lang tayo mag-phase 2. And as you can see dito, during the evaluation phase, hindi kasi to like kunyari, inano mo, nag-phase 1 ka, tapos 1 week lang, next week, okay na, hindi. We have to evaluate this at least 1 month. So after mo mag non-surgical phase, kasi you need to allow healing. You need to let the periodontal tissues to heal. If the periodontal tissues did not heal, then you need to proceed with surgical phase. I want you to remember that in phase 2, we don't do extraction here. In surgical periodontal therapy, there are no extractions that should be done. We are referring to the surgical periodontal therapy here. And again, ang ultimate goal ng periodontal treatment is to save the tooth and not to extract it. So as you can see here, kapag ang pasyente nagwe-wait ng evaluation phase niya, under siya ng periodontal maintenance therapy. Di ba nag-ITAP tayo? Naalala niyo, nag-ITAP tayo, di ba? Yung mga napag-aralan natin sa ITAP, actually, part yun ng periodontal maintenance therapy. Actually, sinabi ko to during the discussion. Part siya ng periodontal maintenance therapy. So yung natutunan ninyo sa ITAP, dapat during patient education, tinuturo nyo siya para makapag-maintain ng maayos yung patient. Kasi kunwari, in-evaluate mo ang patient. The periodontal health of the patient, the pockets did not improve. There were no reattachment of the periodontal tissues. It may be because of 2 factors. Number 1, maybe the pocket probing depth are too deep that the granulation cannot be reached by your standard non-surgical periodontal therapy. Or patient did not comply with the maintenance phase. Patient did not comply with the oral hygiene instructions that you gave him. Kaya ayaw gumaling nung pocket. So, ganun yun. Okay? Kaya kung mapapansin niyo dito, So after emergency phase, nakikita yung diagram. After emergency phase or the periodontal evaluation or the systemic phase, we need to proceed with non-surgical phase. So always yan, hindi natin yan ini-skip. Now, during the maintenance phase, when the patient goes home and do his oral hygiene routine, under maintenance phase siya. Siyempre, hindi naman natin yung bababantayan sa bahay nila. So, ano yung ginagawa nila sa bahay nila to keep their oral health or periodontal health um, or the teeth clean, maintenance phase yon. Now here, if patient was able to comply with the instructions and the periodontal tissues did not heal pa din, even with patient's compliance, we need to do the surgical phase, sorry. We need to do surgical phase na. And again, after the treatment, we go now to the maintenance phase. So every time the patient goes home, patient is under the maintenance phase. However, if during the maintenance phase, kunyari nag-non-surgical ka last month, nag-maintenance phase yung patient mo for 1 month, and then now, today magre-evaluate ka. If the pockets improve, there are, what do you call this? There are reattachment of the periodontal tissues, then we proceed to restorative phase. Kaya yan double arrow. Kasi every time the patient goes home, patient is under maintenance phase. So, balik tayo dito. So dito, kung mapapansin ninyo, after the periodontal evaluation, we may elect to do the surgical therapy if it is really indicated. If it is not indicated, we skip the surgical therapy and then go to the restorative dentistry. Nagigets ako? Hello?
Yes po.
Parang ang lungkot mo naman. So, as you see here, meron tayo ditong re-evaluation supportive therapy. Anong kinaibahan nito sa periodontal re-evaluation? So, when we say supportive therapy, every time the patient goes to you, hindi lang naman niya nagpapadisclose, nagpapa-perio chart. Kailangan mo rin tanggalin, of course, yung mga biofilm, malilinisin mo ulit yon. So, pag nagkaroon kayo ng compre, merong re-evaluation sa perio. Kailangan mo ulit mag-chart doon. Titignan mo kung gumaling ba, nag-improve ba yung oral hygiene ng patient. Now, kapag ka ganon, hindi mo pa pauwiin na may disclosing patient, disclosing solution, of course, yung pasyente. Kaya remember na nag-ITAP tayo, after natin mag-disclose, after natin mag-evaluate, brinage natin siya. Supposedly dapat, tatanggalin natin yung mga biofilm no? And calculus na nandoon. However, wala tayong time, 3 hours lang meron tayo. So, brush yung ginawa natin. But then, if the patient has only less than 10% reading on probing and plaque index, then kahit brush lang natin siya, okay lang yon. So, dito, balik tayo dito. So, here, sa preliminary phase, systemic phase, periodontal evaluation, or emergency phase, lagi dapat sa treatment plan natin, mauuna yung patient education. So, lagi yon, especially kapag may mga special instructions tayo. Then, we do the periodontal evaluation. If you think that the patient has a periodontitis, you proceed with comprehensive periodontal evaluation agad-agad. However, sometimes may mga pasyente na they don't seem to have periodontitis. So, magpi-PSR muna tayo. So, yun yung ginagawa natin sa compre natin. Sa comprehensive patients natin, we do first the periodontal screening and recording just to detect whether the patient has periodontitis or none. If then patient has periodontitis pala, then we need to proceed with comprehensive periodontal evaluation so that we can diagnose it better in terms of extent and severity. Then, we do the emergency cases if there are. Kapag wala, edi wala. Kasi sometimes may mga hot tooth na kailangan mo i-bypass yung mga periodontal tawag dito, mga periodontal treatment muna. You address the focus of the chief complaint of the patient. Then here, on phase 1, non-surgical periodontal therapy or the etiologic phase, of course, again, patient education, and then we remove the thick and tenacious calculus. Supragingivally. Next is extraction of hopeless teeth. Again, the extraction should never be under surgical periodontal therapy. It's under non-surgical periodontal therapy because again, this refers to the etiologic phase, and teeth that are indicated for extraction are focus of infection and may be sources of bacteria that may contribute to biofilm formation. And then we do the scaling and root planing and then caries control. So after some time, we let the periodontal tissues heal and then we evaluate if we need to proceed with surgical periodontal therapy pa or proceed na tayo sa restorative management. Any questions so far? Negative reactions? Hello?
Ano po, Doc?
Okay na. Okay, next is the surgical periodontal therapy. So again, ang surgical periodontal therapy is only indicated if non-surgical periodontal therapy fails. If hindi naman nag-fail yung non-surgical periodontal therapy, we don't need to do this. So one, this includes endodontic management, which has an alternative treatment plan, extraction. Surgical periodontal debridement, dapat mauna yung endo bago yung surgical periodontal debridement. Pero it doesn't necessarily mean na kailangan ma-obturate mo agad yung endo. Hindi naman. At least ma-remove mo lang yung necrotic pulp bago ka mag-surgical periodontal debridement. Pwede naman na yun. So even if maabot mo lang yung temporization, then do the, what they call this, do the surgical periodontal debridement. And then we need to evaluate now the response of the periodontal tissues to the surgical periodontal therapy that you did. Sometimes, kung makikita nyo dito, sometimes nag-fail pa din siya. So kapag nag-fail siya, we need to do another surgical periodontal therapy. Dito nagkakaroon ng pagkakaiba yung tinatawag natin na pocket elimination versus pocket reduction. Hindi ko muna masyadong ituturo yon kasi sa Perio 2 yun tinuturo. Okay? So once we're done with the evaluation of response to phase 2, tatandaan natin to ha. Kapag diagnosis, we base our diagnosis on the clinical attachment loss. But the progress of the treatment is based on the pocket probing depth. Kasi what is lost in periodontitis cannot be regained unless you do regenerative therapy. However, the response of the pocket, dun tayo nagre-rely in terms of the treatment. That's why halimbawa, dito sa non-surgical phase, meron kang 7mm pocket. Kung may 7mm pocket ka dyan, then nag-SRP ka, you do scaling and root planing, and then we evaluated the case, evaluation of response to phase 1. From 7, naging 3mm na lang siya, yung pocket. Hindi na natin yun um, i-undergo ng surgery. Pero kung kunyari 7mm siya dito sa phase 1, nag-evaluate ka, 7mm pa rin siya. Patient is compliant with the oral hygiene instructions. Then we need to do phase 2 or surgical periodontal therapy. However, if patient cannot comply, hindi tayo pwedeng mag-surgery. If in phase 1, if in non-surgical periodontal therapy, patient cannot maintain proper oral hygiene, how do you expect the patient to maintain proper oral hygiene kapag sa surgical na? Mas mahirap doon. Okay. So dito sa restorative phase, bakit siya restorative phase? Kasi hindi to about restoration of the tooth. Hindi to about composite restoration. It's all about restoring masticatory function. So dito yung final restorations ng endodontically treated mo at saka yung mga prosthodontic management to maintain masticatory function. Okay? So again, when we say maintenance phase, it's every time the patient goes home. Kung ano yung oral hygiene regimen na ginagawa nila. Nagigets? Yes? So ito yung summary ng treatment plan natin. Identify, nakikita dito. So identify, ibig sabihin, we do the diagnosis. Ay, sorry, identify nga eh. We do data gathering, sorry. So sa first part, we do the data gathering. We gather all diagnostic tools, all diagnostic aids that we can get to the patient in order to decide for the diagnosis. Kaya makikita nyo ninyo dyan sa mga clinicians, kapag nagde-data gathering sila, ang daming sinasagutan na papel. Kasi kailangan mong properly makita yung mga problems in order for you to arrive at a correct diagnosis. And as you know, sa oral diagnosis, only the correct diagnosis can lead you to a correct treatment plan. So when you say treatment, dapat kung ano lang ang appropriate treatment doon sa tooth. And of course, very important is the maintenance of the patient. So kung kunyari may mga areas on the tooth na kailangan i-correct yung malposition tooth, kung kailangan ba nito i-ortho, sometimes you have to consider alignment of the dentition, orientation of the tooth on the maintenance part. Kung kunyari naka-mesially drift yung ngipin, kung naka-mesially drift yung ngipin at sinuotan mo lang yan ng denture, hindi yan magiging sustainable sa perio. So kailangan may gawin ka dun sa ngipin para maging self-cleansing yung ngipin at may iwasan yung food impaction area. So ano kaya yon? Nasa prosto yon. Hindi ko sasabihin kasi nag-prosto 2 at saka prosto 3 na kayo. Pero hahanapin ko yon sa treatment plan. So ito yung decision 3 in the periodontal treatment. So I hope you understand. Actually, ito rin naman yung in-explain ko earlier. Okay, so let's give examples. So here, this is an actual patient of mine. As you see, sorry. As you see, there is a large, sinus tract on the facial. Ito. So ito, patient is having a fever at the time of inspection. Patient did not sleep at all the night before. So dapat ito muna yung i-address mo bago ka mag-periodontal treatment. So paano natin minamanage yan? Yung malaking hindi ko alam kung nakikita. Video kasi siya, sorry. So of course, we need to drain it. And if the tooth is still viable, we do root canal therapy first before we do. Sometimes kasi ganun yun. No? Ang treatment plan natin, hindi yan linear. Ang treatment plan natin ay flexible. So because the tooth here is a focus of infection, focus of the chief complaint of the patient, we need to address this first before we address other concerns of the patient. Kaya nga di ba kapag nagra-write ka ng chief complaint, inuuna mo yung pinaka-focus ng complaint niya. Nagigets? Hello?
Yes po, Doc.
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. So, skip ko na to. So, another here, focus of chief complaint here is your gum boil. Now, as you see, yung ibang radiograph, it may seem na wala siyang clamp, pero pag naging clinician kayo, mas okay sometimes gumamit ng mga plastic na rubber dam. Kasi kung kunyari dito, meron ako metal na rubber dam, no? Dun, kapag nag-metal na rubber dam kayong furcation part, hindi siya masyadong makita. Pero kung kunyari naka-plastic yung clamp mo, kitang-kita yung furcation na area. So sometimes you need to consider that. So as you see here, during the diagnosis, wala kang, anong tawag dito? Parang bagal doon, ano. Yan. So dito sa preoperative, makikita yung furcation part. Wala pa siya masyadong furcation involvement. However, as you see, during the course of the treatment, nagkakaroon ng furcation involvement here. Now, ganon kapag nag-endo ka. Kapag nag-endo ka, the exit of infection is through the periodontium. Kaya nga kapag nagsa-surgical perio ka, tapos endoperio ang lesion, merong communicating lesion, you need to always do the endodontic treatment first, followed by the periodontal treatment. Kasi para yan naglilinis ng bahay. Uunahin mo munang linisin yung kwarto mo para lahat ng dumi papunta sa sala. Saka mo lilinisin yung sala. Hindi pwedeng lilinis mo na yung sala, saka mo lilinisin yung kwarto mo. Hindi, pag nilinis mo yung kwarto mo, dudumi na naman yung sala. Diba? Nagigets nyo ba? Yung analogy.
Yes po, Doc.
Okay, so ganun din sa endoperiolesion. Unahin mo muna mag-endo, let the infection drain to the periodontium before you debride the periodontal tissues para isang linis lahat. Okay? So here, sometimes one of the emergency cases that is very common to perio is mobility of the dentition. So here, tooth number, ano ba to, left? Tooth number 25, 26, and 27, all of them are mobile. Patient cannot chew on this area because the patient was conscious na baka matanggal daw yung ngipin niya. So, kailangan, kapag may mobility and it is the main concern of the patient, we need to do periodontal splinting on the area. I don't know if you can see, pero meron periodontal splint dito. So, kailangan mong gawin yon in order for the patient to become comfortable whenever the oral cavity is in function. So likewise here, we do the periodontal splinting first before we do SRP. Healing of the periodontal tissues would not take place if the teeth are always moving. So we need to stabilize the teeth in order for the periodontal tissues to heal properly. So ganun natin yon. So kapag may mga second degree mobility tayo and above, we want to splint and make the teeth or the dentition stable before we do the SRP. Para kapag nag-heal yung periodontium, mas madali mag-heal at magkaroon ng periodontal reattachment. Nagigets ako? Hello?
Yes po, Doc.
So katulad nito, actually itong patient ko na to, because of DIY braces siya. So, mas malaki pa yung ginastos niya sa periodontal treatment kasi nagka-DIY siya. However, naipit yung treatment namin ng pandemic. So, hindi na siya nasundan kasi yung pandemic naging 3 years na. Hindi na namin siya nasundan. Pero itong buong, tawag dito, K9 hanggang incisors na to, gumagalaw siya para siyang picket fence na umuuga. So, kaya yan in-splint. Now here, another concern of the patient. Ayan, kita? So another concern here, actual patient din namin to, patient has a suspicious lesion on the tongue. So, bago ka mag-perio, kapag may mga suspicious lesion na you may feel na it may cause malignancy, you need to do biopsy first. So, address mo muna yon. So, sometimes may mga ganun tayo. So, as you see, as you know, sa oncology, the earlier you detect malignancies, the better the prognosis is. Tama ba? Hello?
Yes po.
Okay. But of course, kailangan mo rin ma-identify yung mga tooth structure. So, dito biopsy kami, merong ditong, tawag dito, meron ditong growth sa tip of the tongue. So pag nagba-biopsy ka, sasamahan mo yan ng diagram na ganito kung saan mo siya na-locate. Then you do the suture. So what we did here on the case is excision biopsy and then send it to the laboratory para ma-evaluate kung ano talaga siya. Although initially ang diagnosis namin dito is irritation fibroma, of course, para meron tayong definitive diagnosis, kailangan natin mag-undergo ng biopsy. Now, lo and behold, pagkabalik niya ng biopsy, it was irritation fibroma. So, bakit nagkaroon ng irritation fibroma? So, sometimes, nagkaroon ng pathologic tooth migration, naghiwalay yung ngipin because of periodontal disease and the loss of adjacent tooth, nagkaroon ng diastema, and yung tongue laging sumisiksik dun sa area, nagkakaroon siya ngayon ng irritation ng fibroma. So in order to solve the problem, so one, excisional biopsy, and then close the diastema, since yun ang cause. So hindi lang dapat, kapag may mga ganyan kang growth, hindi lang dapat biopsy yung ginagawa, lalo na kapag kunyari irritation siya or frictional yung cause niya, you need to address also the cause. Nagigigets ba ako? Hello?
Yes po,
So,
Doc.
okay. So yung mga yan, yung mga diniscuss natin na mga yan, since yan ang mga main concern ng pasyente, yan yung mga hindi na sila makatulog or sobrang worried na sila. You need to address them first during the phase 0 or the preliminary phase. Saka ka ngayon magpe-periodontal therapy kapag na-address mo na yung mga concerns na yun sa pasyente. So kapag nag-periodontal therapy na tayo, kunyari ito, sana. Yan. Kapag nagkaroon tayo ng, kunyari dito, so you have very large gingival excess, especially dito sa right lower canine. Now, again, kapag may mga large gingival excess dito, kunyari yan, ang una mong tatanungin is the patient taking any maintenance medication, especially antihypertensive medication, immunosuppressants, and anti-seizure medication. So this patient of mine is taking calcium beta blocker that is used to control the hypertension. So because of the biofilm, because of the medication the patient is taking, the gingiva, instead of receding, becomes enlarged now. So again, yung mga patient na nagtitake ng anti-seizure medication, antihypertensive drugs, and immunosuppressants, they may be at risk of developing gingival enlargement. But again, only in the presence of biofilm. If patient has a very good oral hygiene practices and biofilm formation is always deterred, gingival enlargement would not happen on those patients. Now, this case, as you see, initially is indicated for surgical periodontal debridement. So makikita mo dito, sobrang baba ng bone, especially here, sobrang baba na ng bone. Yan. Sobrang baba ng bone dito. Okay. So what I use here is an after 5 Gracie curette. So sabi natin, kapag yung standard Gracie curette, ang maximum lang nito is 5 mm pocket. However, yung after 5, meron siyang plus 3 mm na shank. So mas malayo or mas malalim yung kaya niyang abutin. So this is beyond 5 mm pocket. So here, what I did is to remove any thick and tenacious calculus through scaling. So kailangan mong tanggalin lahat ng nakakapa mo dyan and debride the area. Yung video ba nagpe-play? Nagpe-play naman ano?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay, so sana maayos yung pagka-play niya. So yan. So here, after mo matanggal yung biofilm, after ng scaling, of course, you need to do um, gingival curettage and root planing. So makikita niyo yung para mga lumalabas na laman-laman sa gingiva. Those are infected pocket linings that we really need to remove. Kasi kapag yung mga granulation tissues and infected pocket lining hindi siya natanggal, hindi kakapit, hindi magkakaroon ng reattachment. So sometimes sometimes nga sa sobrang, kunyari ito, sa sobrang kapal ng mga granulation tissue, dinudukot pa yan ng cotton plier or ng hemostat sa loob. So yan, tatanggalin ko pa yung matatanggal na mga granulation tissue. As much as you can, tatanggalin talaga natin. So after nyan, any residual tissues or any residual accumulations, tatanggalin naman natin using your Explorer. Kaya ako kayo pinabili ng ODU 11 and 12 kasi mas maganda yung access noon sa subgingival area. So this is the before. Ano ba? Yan. So this is the before of the patient. So again, there are very large, especially dito makikita mo, very large gingival enlargement on the right quadrant. And this is the after. We decided to extract the anterior teeth for prosto consideration kasi nagkaroon na ng pathologic tooth migration. Yung central incisor niya nasa midline na. And kapag nilagyan mo yan ng prosto, hindi na siya magiging maganda. Magiging awkward na siya tignan. So sometimes for prostodontic consideration, we elect to extract the tooth. And meron na rin kasi mga endoperioral lesions. Like ito meron na mga parulis. So, better to remove it. So kapag ganyan na meron ng mga parulis and nagkaroon na ng pathologic tooth migration and for prosthodontic consideration, it's irrational to treat, take it out of the dentition. So ito, makikita natin, meron pa rin patient was not able to, yan, lumipat na ba? Lumipat na ba? Lumipat na, no? Okay. Sadly, patient was not able to maintain it properly. However, very large yung tawag dito, very large yung difference ng gingival enlargement compared to the preoperative. So, numipis na talaga siya. Hindi lang niya ma-maintain ng maayos. Pero, this was only treated non-surgically. So, kung mapapansin ninyo, kung maano natin, hindi ako nag-surgery dito, hindi ako naghiwa. All of the gingival enlargement were treated non-surgically. So possible siya. Ito, huwag mo na yan. Okay, dito na sa surgical periodontal debridement. Now again, dito, sa surgical periodontal debridement, marami tayong incisions na ginagawa but the open flap debridement aims to eliminate the infected pocket surgically. So sometimes may mga vertical bone defect tayo that nagkakaroon ng granulation tissue dun sa vertical bone defect. So kailangan natin tanggalin yung ang granulation tissue na yon. We cannot remove it simply by non-surgical means because poor yung access. So we need to raise a flap in order to improve access and visualization. So hindi nyo muna ito ang tawag dito, pag-aaralan. Pero I just want you to know the indications and goal of the treatment. So again, kaya tayo nagsa-surgery. Number one, hindi naging successful yung non-surgical phase. Second, we need access and visualization of the area in order for us to treat it properly. Pero usually, yung mga pasyente ko na nag-undergo ng surgical periodontal therapy, elective siya. So, dun sa mga elective, prosto consideration. So, like example dito, sorry. Like example dito, we did a crown lengthening procedure. Kasi ito yung before ng patient, gummy smile, patient has altered passive eruption. So patient requested to have veneers on the anterior teeth. However, sabi ko, sabi ng aesthetic dentist na nag-refer, i-check ko muna. So, I told the patient to undergo surgical periodontal therapy, to be specific, crown lengthening procedure. Kasi kahit lagyan mo yan ng veneer at humaba nga yung ngipin, gummy pa din siya. And ang problema natin kapag nag-increase tayo ng overbite, nag-veneers tayo, more stretch on the muscle. Kaya tumatalsik-talsik yung ibang veneers. Kaya kung mapapansin ninyo marami sa Facebook or sa Reddit nagpo-post bakit daw yung veneers nila laging tumatalsik or whatever. It's because na-increase yung overbite. Kapag na-increase yung measurement ng overbite, yung travel ng muscle mas malayo. And muscle tend to stretch. Para yang pana na kapag hinila mo, para yung rubber band na kapag hinila mo, more force ang exerted niya. Anyway, huwag yun naisipin yun. Ba't ko ba sinasabi? Focus tayo more on the perio. So what I did is I did an open flap. So I raised a flap from premolar to premolar. Kailangan mo siyang ibuka in order to reveal the bone. Kasi ang gagawin natin dito, kailangan mo siyang i-relocate. I-relocate mo yung biologic width or yung supracrestal attachment. So paano mo i-relocate yung biologic width? You need to alter the height of the bone. Hindi pwedeng, bakit may sounds? So yan. Hindi pwedeng mag-gingivic ka lang kasi hindi na-alter yung height ng bone. Kapag hindi na-alter yung height ng bone at nag-gingivic ka lang, tutubo ulit siya. So, kaya tayo tawag dito, kaya tayo nagbabawas ng buto. So, this is the before, this is the after. Nasaan na yun? Yan. Ito yung before, ito yung after, pero patient is still not satisfied with the look, kaya pinusid pa rin yung veneers. Pero hindi ako nag-veneers. Yan. Yung aesthetic dentist na friend ko. So sometimes yung mga hindi rin pantay, another consideration of surgical periodontal management, aesthetics, like ito yung mga pinapakita ko, aesthetic consideration or prosthodontic consideration. So kung makikita nyo yung gingival margin ng patient, hindi siya pantay-pantay. And bulbous masyado yung bony protuberance dito sa may alveolar bone. So we call this torus vestibularis kapag masyadong bulbous. So kapag nakasmile siya, it may seem na parang full yung buong bibig. So kunyari yan, halatang halata mo na hindi level yung gingival margin. So I raise a flap here. Yan. So I raise a flap, relocate the bone. So this is already the bone. Planed it and relocated the bone. So babawasan mo yung buto. Tapos kailangan mong i-plane ng konti para yung contour ng bone gumanda siya. So yung perio, meron din siyang aesthetic aspect. So pag gumanda na yung contour ng bone, makikita mo, this is the before, this is the immediate post-op. Makikita mo yung kumbaga parang buccal corridor improvements. Diba sa complete denture, kailangan yung buccal corridor hourglass shape siya. Ay hindi, yung OCR yun. Kailangan yung buccal corridor, sexy. Ito is aesthetics din to. So like what I showed you earlier. So kapag gummy yung smile, ang tawag natin dyan, outward passive eruption. So we need to open a flap, especially if the bone did not undergo passive eruption or the periodontal tissues did not undergo passive eruption. Pag-aralan na natin yon. Ang tawag natin doon, altered passive eruption, and we need to improve and relocate the crest of the alveolar bone in order to relocate the biologic width or the supracrestal attachment. Para kapag nag-heal siya, so ito. Hindi ko na discuss sa period 2 na yan. Para kapag nag-suture tayo at nag-heal siya, doon siya sa saktong, mas maganda, doon siya sa malapit sa CEJ banda. So another prosthodontic consideration like this one, if the dental caries is subgingival. So since kapag subgingival yung defect, hindi natin masusunod yung CCMPO ng restoration, yung contact contour, yung polish, occlusion, and margin, we need to relocate the biologic width also. So this is again another form of surgical periodontal therapy. So we need to expose the defect. We need to expose the defect prior to the endodontic treatment and to the final restoration. Kasi kapag inendo mo yan, nang hindi mo ina-alter yung periodontal structure, mahirap i-isolate. Lagi ka merong leakage. So para to improve the isolation and the future restoration, you need to relocate the biologic width. Okay, so here is the final. So this is post-operated operative, post-operative, sorry. Para mas maganda rin yung labas ng contour. This is actual surgical periodontal management. So kung makikita nyo dito, patient is a 30-year-old, this is a 30-year-old male patient. The 4-1 and 3-1 are with 33 mobility by Graces and Smales. So greater than 2 millimeters siya na facial lingual mobility. So what I did is I splint the area. So nag-splint ako para mas maging stable siya, and I did the non-surgical periodontal therapy. After a month, still mobile, and we decided to have an open flap debridement. So I open a flap. This tissue here is the interdental papilla. So ito yung interdental papilla. From the interdental papilla down here, all of that is granulation tissues. So kailangan mo yan tanggalin. So once the degranulation is done, it revealed a 10 millimeter bone loss. So gano'n siya kalalim. So this is already the bone. So nung natanggal, sobrang dami ng granulation tissues. And this is already considered a one-wall defect. So the lingual and the facial bone have already been effaced. Only the proximal bone are present. Kaya siya naging one-wall defect. Okay, so ito. Nag-graft pa. So, okay. So sometimes, even without periodontitis, kung kunyari itong patient na to, patient has a blood dyscrasia. So, there is a gingival enlargement. Patient is not taking any medication that may influence gingival enlargement. However, patient has a systemic disease that may bring about gingival enlargement, and that is anemia. Pwede. May mga severe cases of anemia na nagkakaroon ng gingival enlargement. So here, I put a gutta-perca points, and dinikit ko siya sa ngipin para makita ko yung level ng gingival margin. And I took the radiograph. So when I took the radiograph, I can see how far the gingival margin of the gingival excess is from the CEJ of the teeth. Kasi hindi mo makikita yung CEJ dito eh. And then, syempre, pre-nobe ko din siya. So we have here 5 millimeter excess. So here, ito nag-incision. Ito ang tawag mo dito sa incision na to ay external bevel excision. And as you can see, even with loads amount of epinephrine from the anesthetic solution, madugo pa din siya. Kasi doon sa blood dysplasia. Although naman doon naman sa na-reveal, normal naman yung clotting at saka yung clotting time at saka yung bleeding time at saka yung prothrombin time ng patient. That's why we proceeded with the surgery. Pero medyo madugo pa din. Parang nung ginagawa ko pa din yung surgery na to, medyo sumikip pa din yung butas ng puwet ko while doing the surgery. Kasi kakabahan ka kapag ganyan ka profuse yung bleeding. So, once the excess tissue have been removed, ito na siya. No, still freshly cut. External bevel incision, and we got a 4x6 tissue. So sometimes yung mga nagbe-braces din, especially kapag may mga multiple diastema. Kapag may mga multiple diastema, once na na-close yung mga spaces, nagkakaroon ng gingival enlargement. So yung mga gingival enlargement na yun, kailangan natin siyang i-cut para mawala yung gingival enlargement. Kasi of course, aesthetic reasons din. And actually, by cutting the gingiva, it lessens the chances of tawag dito, of relapse doon sa ortho. So sometimes kasi yung ngipin, especially kapag may mga naka-rotate ng ngipin, pag natanggal na yung braces, nagre-relapse o umiikot ulit yung ngipin. Kasi meron ka mga gingival fibers doon. Now, you cutting the gingiva also improves the gingival fibers orientation. Actually, hindi mo naman need i-cut yung gingiva. Pwede mong i-sever yung gingival fibers lang. Ang tawag mo doon ay supracrestal fiberotomy. Doon sa supracrestal fiberotomy, you are severing the gingival fibers in order to reconnect the gingival fibers at a correct angulation. Kasi para silang spring para silang garter. Na kapag inikot mo yung ngipin, by orthodontic means, mas stretch din yung gingival fibers. Tapos, once the orthodontic appliance has been removed, ang nangyayari, pinupull ng gingival fibers pabalik sa original position. So in order to prevent that, you need to sever the gingival fibers. So usually, hindi naman siya kasing invasive ng gingivectomy. Ito kasi medyo invasive to. Ang tawag natin doon sa procedure, supracrestal fiberotomy. Just the fibers alone. Okay na yan siguro. So ito medyo mahaba na. Pag-clean na natin kasi may maraming cases dito sa management. Kapag tapos na tayo ng surgical periodontal therapy or non-surgical periodontal therapy, pupunta na tayo ngayon sa restorative phase. So ito, we have here the prosthodontic appliance. So again, the restorative phase refers to the restoration of the masticatory function. Hindi siya about composite restoration. It's about restoring the masticatory function. So we have here an assembled type acrylic denture on the left and a metal framework on the right. I need you to remember that the metal framework is always superior to the acrylic one kahit na flexible yung acrylic. So, yung mga flex site, hindi siya masyadong hindi siya masyadong suitable sa perio patient. Mas superior pa din ang metal framework. Kasi remember, when you design your RPDs, we have gingival clearance. So meron ka kapag upper 6 millimeters, kapag lower 2 millimeters ang kapag lower 4 millimeters ang gingival clearance, kapag upper 6. Those gingival clearance, of course, becomes more conducive to periodontal health. Kasi hindi nai-impinge yung gingiva unlike doon sa acrylic na covered yung buong gingiva. Kapag kasi yung acrylic at saka yung ibang plastic material for prosthodontic appliance, ang retention, support, and stability came from the soft tissue. And as you know, in perio, kapag already reduced periodontal health na sila, compromise na yung periodontal support. Tapos papatungan mo pa ng prosthodontic appliance for support, retention, and stability. That's why mas superior ang metal framework. Because ang support, stability, and retention ng metal framework would be coming from the abutments. That is very important. Kasi kapag yung abutment mo naman ay hindi mobile, stable naman siya, then you don't need to worry about the periodontal health of the tooth. Kasi di ba, one of the requirements of an abutment is dapat periodontally sound din siya. Yan yung mga supraeruption, yung mga severe supraeruption, in order to improve the masticatory dysfunction, we have to remove them or do enameloplasty. So sometimes yung mga Michelin drifted na yan, kailangan natin mag-guide plane preparation to improve the periodontal health and the periodontal, ang tawag dito, maintenance. Kasi kapag may mga Michelin drifted na ganyan, hindi ka nag-guide plane preparation, doon sa removable partial denture, sinuotan mo lang ng RPD yan. Ang nangyayari, more food impaction area, mas detrimental sa periodontal health and even on the tooth itself. Kasi syempre, kapag lagi naiipon yung biofilm dito sa area na to, nagkakaroon ng periodontal disease as well as caries. Pwedeng pagmulan. Okay. Ito si semi-precision attachment, hindi mo na yan. Systemic anti-infective therapy for periodontal disease, hindi mo na yan. Sa perio 2 na yan. So ano na ba? Sample case, ayoko. Kaya nyo na yan. Okay, thank you. Any questions? Questions? Wala lang questions? Oh, baka si Emmanuel Paneda ayo ano siya, thumbs down. Wala lang questions? Okay na, end na natin. Kasama yung treatment plan sa ano ha? Sa tawag dito? Sa exam. So diagnosis and treatment plan yung exam natin. Case analysis. Good luck. Bye-bye.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you po.
Thank you po,
Thank you po,
Doc.
Doc.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you po,
Doc.